Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you've been tuning into the news lately, you've probably felt it. That kind of quiet background dread about artificial intelligence coming for our careers. But today, we're actually going to push right past all that panic. We are diving into the deep, emotional reality of the work that algorithms simply cannot touch. Because, as it turns out, there's a whole category of work that isn't just safe for now, it is structurally, permanently human. And by the time we wrap up, you'll know exactly why.
To really get this, I want you to picture a very specific scenario. Imagine a hospital room right before a critical moment. Now, a machine can perfectly predict that patient's vital signs, right? It can monitor every single heartbeat and calculate the exact odds of survival. And yet, it can still get the moment completely wrong. Because what that patient really needs right then isn't data. They need a human hand to hold. The algorithm can calculate the odds, sure, but it cannot sit in the room. So let's unpack this. We are constantly bombarded by these sensational headlines predicting a completely binary job loss, the idea that you're either employed or you're replaced by a bot. But the real data from labor economists paints a much more nuanced picture. It's not about entire jobs vanishing into thin air overnight. It's actually about a granular evolution of our everyday tasks. And we actually have the data to back this up. In April 2026, MIT researchers put this exact theory to the test. They dug into a staggering 11,500 real, granular tasks from the U.S. Labor Department. They didn't just ask, hey, could an AI theoretically do this job? No, they tested these specific, daily tasks against over 40 different AI models using real-world employer criteria. And what they found requires a massive shift in how we think about this. Their core conclusion? AI is not a crashing wave wiping out entire sectors in one fell swoop. Instead, it's a rising tide. It is a slow, broad, and uneven change that redefines how work gets done, task by task, rather than job by job. Honestly, this is an absolutely crucial mindset shift we all need to make.
When you break down the actual risk using data from the OECD and the World Economic Forum, a pretty surprising picture emerges. Only about 25% of jobs actually face a high risk of automation. Think about that. That leaves a massive 75%, the vast majority of the workforce, in the lower risk or structurally resistant categories. The labor market is being reorganized, absolutely, for sure, but it is not being deleted.
Because here is the real takeaway. Automating a task does not equal job loss. A 2026 analysis by Boston Consulting Group proves this beautifully. Take software engineering, for example. An AI might easily master a specific task, like generating a function or writing lines of boilerplate code, but it cannot replace the human system design, the architectural trade-offs, or the complex judgment of an engineer who actually understands what a client genuinely wants. The job is intact, the daily tasks just shift. Section 1. The 4 human pillars. The blueprint of irreplaceable work. So if entire jobs aren't disappearing, the big question is, what makes the remaining work survive? Well, we need to look at the structural blueprint of irreplaceable human work. Researchers have boiled this down into 4 distinct pillars: physical presence in chaos, trust-based relationships, novel judgment, and moral accountability. If your job relies deeply enough on even one of these pillars, the data shows you're pretty much permanently safe from the AI tide. Let's break these down.
The first pillar is physical presence. Look, AI can process unlimited data, but it doesn't have a body. It cannot walk into a burning building, adjust its footing on a floor that's giving way, smell the changing character of smoke, and instantly improvise. I mean, unless someone puts ChatGPT inside a Boston Dynamics robot dog in a fireproof suit, it just can't help there. Navigating genuine real-world chaos requires a physical body that understands the risk of injury. Anything that demands moving through unpredictable physical environments, that stays human.
Pillar 2 is relational trust. Sometimes the value of work isn't the information itself, it's about who is delivering it to you. A medical diagnosis spit out by an algorithm lands very differently than one given by a doctor you actually know and trust. And this isn't just about warm and fuzzy feelings either. This trust directly drives measurable, clinical outcomes. Patients literally recover better when they have trust in their human caregiver. Then we have the third pillar, novel judgment under ambiguity. AI is incredible at pattern matching past data, but what happens when a situation is genuinely brand new? In those moments, the hardest part isn't finding data. It's navigating competing human interests, cultural values, and complex trade-offs that no historical data set can possibly capture. When smart, reasonable people disagree, human judgment is literally the only way forward.
And the final pillar, which I think is hugely underestimated, is moral accountability. An AI can suggest a brilliant legal argument, sure, but it can't be disbarred. It can recommend a surgical pathway, but it cannot be sued for malpractice, and it certainly can't carry the emotional weight of a mistake. At the end of the day, someone has to be the person the consequences land on. That burden of accountability structurally anchors entire professions to human beings.
Section 2. Irreplaceable careers in action, where the pillars live.
Now that we have this blueprint, let's take it out into the real world, starting with some of the most intense environments on Earth. Think about crisis responders, firefighters, paramedics. Disasters do not run on scripts. Every earthquake or industrial fire is a completely unique, chaotic event. These professionals have to constantly make life or death decisions with incomplete information and incredibly heavy moral weight. There is literally no historical data set for the exact crisis they're standing in. Now, AI definitely has a role in these extreme environments, but it acts as an information force multiplier. It might help map an evacuation route faster or flag a weird pattern in the wreckage, but it can never be the calm, steady presence a frightened victim desperately needs to hear. That psychological composure, the ability to stay steady when a building is groaning above you, you just can't outsource that to a machine.
Shifting gears to the classroom and the clinic, fields like early education and therapy rely profoundly on deep relational intimacy. A teacher noticing a subtle shift in a student's mood, or a child reaching out for comfort, that requires reading physical signals and offering immediate emotional presence. It's this moment-to-moment human adaptation that makes caregiving and teaching incredibly resistant to automation.
We see the exact same resistance in healthcare. Yes, AI might read an X-ray faster than a human radiologist, but proper, holistic healthcare, that demands empathy stacked simultaneously with ethical judgment and physical touch. Think of a home health aide noticing a slight change in a patient's breathing. They aren't running an algorithm, they're drawing on a deeply embodied relationship. Those are qualities a chatbot simply cannot safely replace.
And what about the boardroom? Leadership is often misunderstood as just strategy and analysis. AI can generate a beautiful strategy deck in 3 seconds flat. But true leadership is about taking risks way beyond the data. An AI cannot stand up and face furious investors. It cannot look employees in the eye when things go wrong and layoffs have to happen. True leadership requires a person to actually put their own reputation on the line and hold the trust of a team.
This whole human-centric reality is perfectly captured in the legal profession, too. Despite all the early panic about AI replacing lawyers, when researchers actually scored the profession, lawyers scored a perfect 100 out of 100 on AI resistance. Why? Well, because the entire legal system is built fundamentally on novel judgment under ambiguity and ultimate moral and legal accountability.
Section 3. Future-proofing your work. Auditing your tasks.
Okay, knowing all of this, we need to move away from binary panic and get incredibly practical. How do you actually future-proof your career right now? First, stop asking if your entire job is going to disappear. Instead, do an audit of your daily work. Ask yourself which of your specific, repeatable tasks the AI tide is going to reach first and be ready to let them go. Then, identify the tasks that sit safely on high ground. You need to actively double down on the work that requires your physical presence, your ability to build trust, your complex judgment, and your accountability. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one absolutely critical question to evaluate your own career resilience before you head back to work tomorrow. Look at your calendar, look at your to-do list, and ask yourself, which of your daily tasks sit on high ground? If you focus your energy right there, you won't just survive the rising tide of AI, you'll be the one steering the ship. Thanks for exploring this with me today.